Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Stormworks. We are back once again working on our flying carrier, and today we've got a little bit of a shorter episode for you, but I'm going to be working a little bit here on the hangar bay and then a little bit on a crew compartment area. So what I'm doing right now is I'm working on an overhead crane. We've got a ton of room in this hangar bay, so I wanted to see if I could get a crane in. We are by no means going to finish this crane today. It's just kind of getting placed here as a proof of concept and a placeholder. We'll come back and actually fix it later on. But like I said, I just wanted to get it in just because I do want to kind of put a crane here if possible. So I wanted to see how much room we're really working with. But yeah, that's kind of the plan for today. And if you're new around here, we're building a flying carrier. We got a build challenge going on. We have 1 day left in the build challenge, so I'm sorry if you missed it. But if you guys are participating, don't forget to get those in. You guys have 1 more day. I'm not going to hound you too much if it's a couple hours late or whatever. I'm not going to record the video probably for another couple weeks. So if you do need a little bit extra time, that's cool. Just say something. I'm not, we're not going to beat you up. I'm not going to bite. But just do keep in mind, guys, that you do have only 1 more day for that. I did talk to the mods a little bit about how we're going to go through all of the submissions. I think we're going to all hop in a world together, the mods, and we're going to spawn in the vehicles, and then we'll vote on them one-on-one, and then I will make a video on the top 10 or top 15 or whatever. So just bear in mind with me, guys, that I'm not going to display every single creation that was submitted. Right now we're at 28, so I can't do that, guys. I'm sorry. I don't have enough time to do that. The videos that have like 16 to 20 submissions took me all day. I mean probably more than that, probably 10, 12 hours to edit. So I can't do 26. I can't. It's not sustainable. I'm sorry. And you guys would have like literally probably a 4-hour long video. So, and I cannot handle that. So I apologize. We will go through them. I'm going to make a collection like I did for the micro carrier on Steam though. So you will be able to easily access pretty much every single one of the creations. So I will have a link to that later down the road, and then when I get the flying carrier posted in itself, I will have a link to every single one of your guys' creations in the collection. So I will do that. I've said this with the micro carrier. If you do have a submission that you made later down the road and you would like it added to the collection, just say something to one of the mods. Obviously it's not going to be part of the challenge, but if you do want it to be part of the collection of vehicles that people can use with the carrier, just let me know if it, and me or one of the mods will kind of double check, make sure it works, and then I'll just throw it in the collection for you so people can download it. But enough of that. I'm kind of yapping. We're gonna get right into the build with this one, guys. Like I said, pretty short episode, so nothing too crazy going on. Mostly just this static work. I'm gonna try to get this rail all the way on the same level through the whole path. So we're probably gonna have to lower it towards the front a little bit, but that way you can take the crane all the way to the front. So that's kind of the plan here. But I'm gonna quit yapping. We're gonna get into the build, and I will talk to you guys in just a moment. All right, so I admittedly didn't really get that much done, but a lot of guess and check with this crane. I really was just playing around with a lot of blocks, trying to make it look good. I don't really have a set plan in mind for any of this, so it was more of a just kind of messing with things to make it feel better. And this got me to here. So we'll probably add some winches or some cranes or something. I don't know, but that is generally the plan. I've got to figure out a way to make this a little bit more useful than it is. But you can see it's got pretty good visibility. We can go all the way down the length of the aircraft, and that is pretty much all I wanted. And added feature, you get stuck in it. So I have to figure that out also. Could not get out there. So we'll have to figure that out. Not really a big deal. That's not super hard to figure out. And if you have to jump down from, 10 feet in the air and break your ankles, well, they're your ankles, not mine. So good luck. But I will, I'll like I said earlier in the episode, we'll come back. We'll kind of finish this guy off later down the road. But I did want to just kind of mess with it. I was trying to think of ways that you could restock the plane a lot easier, and more so, I was thinking about ways you could restock the parasites, which just, I can tell you in the long run, just isn't going to be a thing. So sorry about that. You can restock the guns and stuff manually, but that's really more so up to your own decisions, design-wise. There is ammo storage on the ship. There's just no way to kind of pump it into your plane. So, and then the missiles, you're on your own lot with the missiles, man. And I'm at a loss for that. I thought about a bunch of different things. I even thought about doing a crane like this that slid out on the wings, kind of at an angle. And it's just too much. The physics bodies in this game cannot handle physics, I guess. I don't know. I just had a hard time making this crane strong enough to pick up actual warheads, maneuverable enough to put them into place, and strong enough to do this while also flying in against 200 knot winds. So it was a struggle. There's a couple episodes cut out that you guys did not see of me really testing with it. I really tried to make that work, but it wasn't worth it, and it was going to add a ton of physics bodies and complexity to the overall craft, which was just going to lag the game. And it is what it is. So we're not going to have anything like that. It's, if your plane is smoked, it's probably better to just release it and go get a new one, if I'm being honest. So that's kind of the vibe we're going with, but it's not a repair center. It's not like an aircraft carrier where, you've got more than enough space. We are on a plane, so space is kind of limited, and also maneuvering aircrafts is not easy when you're flying in the air. So that's kind of the issues we're dealing with here, but I think more or less that'll be good enough for the crane. I did have to move some of those pipes in the rear there. You saw that towards the beginning of the episode. That was really just some cross-feed pipes to help the tanks feed from left to right in case you lose one. But enough of that. We're on to the other part of this episode right now. The other big part of this that I wanted to get done, and I know this is really short notice, guys, but you can kind of interact with this part of the aircraft with your parasite fighters. I'm adding a boarding room, and not a boarding room, more of a kind of like a meeting room. And this way that people can go in and, check out the nav plot, talk about missions, do briefings, that kind of thing. So it's like a briefing room, but it's got a giant screen in there. The screen is hooked up to a video transmitter, a video receiver. So if your parasite plane has a targeting pod on it, I think we have a few people in the Discord that have done that. I think Bacon Kaiju and Jack, our mod, I think they both have targeting pods on their parasites that can send video back to the carrier. So if you want to do that. It's on any channel you want. The channel specified in this room. Where I'm also going to go ahead and add a gimbal camera to the carrier itself later on that can be controlled from a different station, or I'm probably going to add handheld remote controls so you can control it in this screening room too. But that just gives you a bunch of options. That way, I think Bacon Kaiju suggested this. It was a really fun feature because that way, if you kind of think of it from a role play standpoint, the higher ups in the military can kind of watch the bombs getting dropped and stuff. So pretty cool, fun, dumb feature. You and the boys can all sit in this room and watch bombs get dropped. But it's just a mission briefing room, nothing fancy. And I was working on chairs, and wow, those are rough. But they'll change, I promise. They're not going to stay like that, but those are some rough looking chairs. But yeah, so nothing too fancy with this room. I'm just gonna cram as many seats in here as possible, and maybe some desks, and then we're gonna just more or less call it a day. So, but yeah, again, nothing too crazy with this room. I'm not gonna get into too much of the logic here. I'll do most of that off camera. But for now, I am just trying to pack this room full of seats like sardines, and obviously that looks quite crap. So we're not gonna do that many seats, but you guys know the vibe I'm going for, basically. So I do want to give them a small desk space. I know that's like a very, very, very small desk space, but I do want to give each seat a small desk space just because if you're doing like mission briefing and whatnot, you likely will have some sort of paperwork with you to review. So, and a screening room like this is kind of not really that useful if you can't take notes. So, especially if you're a pilot. So we'll get some very small desks in here. Again, space is kind of a luxury item on this plane. Well, not really. I actually need help thinking of how to fill the space in. So if you guys have any rooms, let me know. Room suggestions, let me know. I have some space on the exterior of the wings that I don't really know what to do with. But again, enough of that. I'm kind of yapping. So I just built these little kind of desks like you would see, in any school educational application. And we're just gonna rock with these. I think they look fine, and we'll just bring them all the way over to the wall, and then I'll just make a table right in front of the big screen, and that should be plenty enough for what we're trying to do here, in my personal opinion. So we're not going to be able to cram, the whole crew in this room, but there is definitely more than 5 seats, which is good because there's only 5 hard points or 5 hookups for parasite planes, the 4 on the wings, the 1 on the roof. So we don't really need more than that. We need maybe 7 seats, 8 seats. And that should cover it. So I'm not really too worried about it right now. We have 8, I believe. It's either 8 or 6. Either way, I'm not. The room is what the room is. We can't really make it bigger at this point, so I'm not going to change it. But I do think that what we got going on here is not too bad. I do want to get a bunch of more equipment in here, obviously, and just maybe tidy it up a little bit. But I'm going to come back later down the road, and as I've stated in the other episodes, I'm not going to mess around with paint blocks until we are basically done with this thing, because I'm fighting the file size. So I'm trying to make sure this file size stays under 14 megabytes, so you guys can just spawn it in the workbench. So that's the current struggle. Once I get it done, I'll come back, I'll do the paint blocks, and I'll get it closer to the file limits. But for now, I want to get all the blocks in and not hit the file limits, so that is kind of the first priority. But yeah, I mean, this room definitely shaping up a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of support legs to these desks so they don't look as goofy. And then we more or less are done here. I'm going to extend that. The countertop in front of the TV is going to get extended from wall to wall. And then that way we can also get some controls on there for the TV itself. Move the door over so it's not in the way. That way you're not getting bound up or caught on anything when you're trying to leave the room. And yeah, looks pretty much done to me. The only other thing we got to add really is a light switch and some lighting, just some general detailing, which is the easy part. So the layout's done. The TV's getting cut off a little bit there in the corner, but it doesn't matter. It's a big TV. We'll live through it. And then obviously I want to decorate a little bit outside in this hallway too. I think we'll maybe try to add some temporary seating out in that hallway if possible, but I'm not sure at this point. We'll just general greebling all over the place, but you guys know the vibe. So we're more focused on getting the blocks in first before we go back and have fun with all the greebling and the BS and the props and that kind of stuff. So that's why it looks a little bit more bare bones than a lot of my creations. It's just, we're fighting the size a lot more on this one. So, but anyways, guys, that is pretty much all I got for you guys in this one. We've got a few more little things here or there in the carrier to tidy up. I know this episode was kind of weird, kind of short. We didn't really get that much done, if I'm being honest, but there's an order of things, so we got to do this. I didn't want to jump into the next project without the next project. I wanted to get this done first because the next project should be its own video. So I didn't want to kind of cram videos. I've been cramming videos a lot lately, and to be honest, I'm just kind of a little meh about it right now. So I'm doing the YouTube videos to get them done, but I am struggling a little bit through it right now. So I'll get them done. Don't worry about it. I'm just being a little lazy. Not really feeling the YouTube thing. The last couple weeks have been so busy. So we're still chugging away. Don't worry about it. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this one. I'm just adding a little overhead storage compartment right here. And other than that, we're going to add some lights in here and we'll call it a day. So if you made it to the end, as always, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate the support. That helps the channel out a huge amount. So I cannot thank you guys enough. But yeah, and if you like the build, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I know, again, this video is kind of weird, and I know the build is all over the place, but this build will come along a lot faster than you guys think it will. Like I said, don't forget to get your vehicle submissions in, and that's all I got for this one. I'll catch you guys all in the next episode. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.